The man who rejected the world's love was about to give his heart to the one girl who had nothing. The city buzzed with whispers about one man, Alexander Knight, the young, cold, and impossibly rich CEO who had it all. Power, money, fame. Women from everywhere dreamed of being in his arms. But no one had ever touched his heart. Mr. Knight rejected another proposal. Can you believe it? That's the 999th woman. Every magazine headline screamed the same thing: he was untouchable. No beauty, no charm, no tears could move him. He didn't need anyone. Love was weakness, and Alexander Knight was never weak. But fate doesn't ask permission. One rainy evening, Alexander's car stopped at a red light. Through the windshield, he saw her, a young girl in torn clothes, sitting on the pavement, drenched in rain, hugging her knees to stay warm. She wasn't holding a phone or wearing makeup like the others who tried to catch his eye. She had nothing, a poor abandoned girl invisible to the world. For the first time in years, his chest tightened. His driver asked, "Sir, should I drive past?" But Alexander couldn't move his eyes away. Something about her trembling frame, her lonely eyes, made his cold heart stir. He opened his door, stepped into the rain, and walked toward her. The girl flinched, afraid. No one had ever approached her with kindness. I'm sorry. I didn't steal anything," she whispered. Alexander's voice was low but steady. "What's your name?" Her lips quivered. "Isabella." And in that moment, something impossible happened. The man who rejected 999 women without a second glance fell in love at first sight. Rain poured harder as Alexander Knight stood before Isabella. For a moment, time itself seemed frozen, the cold, powerful CEO who never let emotions touch him, now kneeling in front of a poor girl abandoned by the world. "Do you have anywhere to go?" he asked softly. Isabella shook her head. Her eyes, though clouded with pain, carried a quiet strength. "No one wants me," she whispered. "Not even my family." Those words cut deeper than Alexander expected. His chest tightened again. He had seen hundreds of women chase him for money, fame, and status. But here was someone who didn't even believe she was worth love. He took off his expensive coat and placed it over her trembling shoulders. Isabella looked up at him, shocked. No one had ever treated her with kindness before. "From now on," Alexander said, his voice low and commanding, "you are not alone." The driver's eyes widened in disbelief. "Sir, are you sure? Bringing her into your world?" Alexander didn't even look back. "Drive us home." That night, Isabella stepped into a mansion she could barely comprehend. Crystal chandeliers, marble floors, golden staircases, it felt like another planet. She stood frozen near the doorway, afraid to touch anything. Alexander turned to her. "This is your home now." Her heart raced. "Why? Why are you doing this?" "I'm nobody. I'm poor, abandoned, and useless to you." Alexander's eyes, usually sharp and cold, softened. "Because for the first time in my life, I want someone for who they are, not for what they can give me." But outside the mansion walls, the whispers had already begun. "Did you hear? The CEO who rejected 999 women brought home a beggar girl. She must have tricked him somehow. There's no way she deserves him." The world that adored Alexander now turned its cruel eyes toward Isabella. And though he stood by her, she felt the weight of judgment pressing down. One night, as she stood alone in the garden, Isabella whispered to herself, "How long before he realizes I'm not good enough for him?" But Alexander, standing silently behind her, heard every word. And in that moment, he made a silent vow, to prove to Isabella that she was worth more than the entire world. Days passed, but the whispers only grew louder. Every news channel, every gossip magazine, every glittering socialite was talking about the same thing: Alexander Knight, the untouchable CEO who had rejected 999 women, was now protecting a poor abandoned girl. At first, people thought it was a joke. Then came the headlines. Who is the mysterious beggar girl? Is the CEO losing his mind? From the streets to the mansion, does she deserve him? Isabella could feel the cruelty every time she stepped outside. Once, when she went with Alexander's driver to a boutique, the saleswoman smirked. "I'm sorry, miss, but I don't think we carry your size." Her eyes mocked the old torn shoes Isabella still wore. Isabella lowered her head in shame, clutching her small bag tightly. She didn't want to embarrass Alexander. But before she could leave quietly, the glass doors opened, and Alexander walked in. His presence silenced the entire room. He walked straight to Isabella, took her hand, and looked at the saleswoman with a cold glare that could freeze fire. "Every dress in this store," he commanded, "is now hers. And if she's ever treated with disrespect again, I will shut this place down by tomorrow morning." The woman turned pale. "Why yes, Mr. Knight. Of course." Isabella's eyes widened. "Alexander, you didn't have to." But Alexander looked at her as if the rest of the world didn't exist. "Yes, I did. No one disrespects what's mine." That night, he took her to a charity gala, his first public event with Isabella. The ballroom glittered with chandeliers, diamonds, and cameras flashing everywhere. As they walked in hand, a wave of whispers followed. "Is that her? The abandoned girl? She doesn't even belong here. What is he thinking?" Isabella's hands trembled. She wanted to hide, to disappear. But Alexander didn't let go. Instead, he stopped in the middle of the hall, turned toward the crowd, and spoke in a voice that echoed with authority. "This woman," he said, his arm wrapped around Isabella, "is the only one I have ever chosen. Not the 999 who came before her. Only her. And if anyone thinks she is not good enough for me, then you do not deserve to be in my world." The entire room fell silent. Some were shocked, some were furious, but no one dared to argue. Cameras flashed wildly, capturing the moment. Isabella, with tears brimming in her eyes, whispered, "Why would you do this for me?" Alexander leaned close, his words just for her. "Because you were never invisible, Isabella. Not to me." After Alexander's bold declaration at the gala, the world's reaction split in two. Some admired his courage to stand by a poor, abandoned girl against all odds. But most whispered crueler things, their envy growing like poison. For Isabella, life felt like a dream she didn't deserve. She lived in a mansion, wore dresses she once only saw through glass windows, and for the first time, had someone who truly looked at her. But deep inside, a fear gnawed at her. What if this happiness was only temporary? One evening, while Alexander was still at work, Isabella walked through the city streets. She wanted to feel normal again, to remember the girl she used to be before wealth blinded her eyes with gold. She passed by the bakery where she had once begged for leftover bread. The baker looked at her with recognition. "You?" he gasped. "You're the girl who used to sit outside, begging for crumbs. And now you wear silk? Don't tell me you tricked some rich fool." His words stung, and before Isabella could answer, another voice cut through. "She didn't trick me. She belongs with me." Alexander had arrived, his tall figure looming with power. He placed his coat around Isabella's shoulders and glared at the baker until the man shrank back in shame. Taking Isabella's hand, Alexander led her away. Back in the mansion, Isabella finally broke. "Why do you keep protecting me? Don't you see? The world is right. I'm not like you. I'm nothing." Alexander turned to her sharply, his eyes burning with intensity. "Don't you ever say that again. You are not nothing. You are the only person who makes me feel alive. Do you understand?" Isabella's tears fell, but her heart softened. No one had ever fought for her like this. But just as their bond grew stronger, fate twisted cruelly. One night, a woman from Alexander's past returned. Elegant, beautiful, and full of venom, she confronted Isabella at a dinner event. "So, you're the beggar girl who caught Alexander's eye?" she sneered, her voice dripping with malice. "Do you even know who you really are? Isabella froze. What do you mean? The woman smirked. You don't remember, do you? Poor thing. Maybe it's time Alexander knows the truth about your past. Alexander, arriving just in time, stepped between them. Enough. Leave her alone. But the woman's final words echoed like a curse in Isabella's ears. You don't deserve him, Isabella. And soon, he'll see why. That night, Isabella couldn't sleep. Her heart raced with fear. She had always known her past carried shadows, but now those shadows threatened to destroy the fragile light she had found with Alexander. And Alexander, though he held her close, could sense the storm that was about to come. The days after the confrontation grew heavier for Isabella. Every time Alexander smiled at her, every time he touched her hand with warmth, a weight pressed deeper into her chest. The cruel woman's words haunted her. Do you even know who you really are? Isabella couldn't ignore it anymore. She had lived most of her life believing she was nothing more than an abandoned child. Left on the streets with no name, no family, no worth. But what if there was more? What if the past she never wanted to remember could ruin everything? One evening, while Alexander was working late, Isabella went into the mansion's old library. She found herself drawn to the silence, as if it could answer the questions swirling in her heart. Her fingers brushed over books, and suddenly, she noticed a box tucked away on the highest shelf. Pulling it down, she opened it and gasped. Inside were old files, photographs, and documents, things Alexander had quietly collected about her past. Her eyes widened as she read. Hospital record, baby girl found abandoned, age 2. Orphanage file, child disappeared before adoption could be completed. Police note, possible involvement of powerful family cover-up. Isabella's hands shook. No, this can't be real. At that moment, Alexander entered. His face froze when he saw what she was holding. You knew? Isabella whispered, tears streaming down her face. All this time, you knew there were secrets about me, and you didn't tell me? Alexander's jaw tightened. I wanted to protect you, Isabella. Until I had the full truth, I didn't want to hurt you with pieces of it. But Isabella's heart felt torn. So I was right. I don't belong here. My life is just a mystery, a mistake. How can I stand by your side when I don't even know who I am? Alexander stepped forward, his voice firm yet desperate. Listen to me. I don't care if you were abandoned. I don't care if the world sees you as nothing. To me, you are everything. Do you understand? I chose you, not because of your past, but because of who you are now. But Isabella couldn't shake the storm inside her. She turned away, her voice breaking. And what happens when the rest of the world knows? When they find out the truth? Will you still stand by me then? Alexander's silence lasted too long. And in that silence, Isabella's heart shattered. That night, Isabella packed a small bag. As she stood at the door, she whispered to herself, better to leave now than to watch him regret me later. But just as she reached for the handle, Alexander appeared, his eyes filled with both anger and pain. Running away again, Isabella? Her tears flowed. I don't want to ruin your life. He stepped closer, his voice low but fierce. Don't you understand? My life without you is ruined. She froze, her heart torn between love and fear. But before she could answer, a phone rang. Alexander picked it up, his face hardening as he listened. When he hung up, his expression was darker than Isabella had ever seen. It's her. The woman from the gala. She knows the truth about your past. And she's going to use it against us. The following evening, Alexander received an invitation that chilled him to the bone. It wasn't a business deal, nor a social gathering, it was a private meeting request from Cassandra, the woman who had threatened Isabella at the gala. Come alone, the letter read. If you want the truth about your little beggar girl. Alexander didn't want Isabella anywhere near her venom, but Isabella discovered the letter. Against his protests, she insisted, if this is about me, I deserve to hear it too. And so, they went together. The meeting took place in a grand, dimly lit hotel lounge. Cassandra sat at the center like a queen on her throne, a glass of red wine swirling in her manicured hand. Her smile was sharp as she spotted the couple walking in hand. Well, well, Cassandra purred. The mighty Alexander protecting his little charity case. Touching. Alexander's voice was cold. Get to the point. Her eyes shifted to Isabella, narrowing like blades. The truth. She isn't who she thinks she is. Isabella's heart pounded as Cassandra slid a folder across the table. Hands trembling, she opened it. Inside were birth records, photos, and documents that made her blood run cold. She gasped. This is me. Yes, Cassandra said smoothly. But not just you. You're not just some abandoned street rat. You're the daughter of the Raynids. Isabella's eyes widened in disbelief. The Raynids? The powerful family that disappeared years ago after a scandal? Cassandra's grin widened. Exactly. You are their lost child. Their shameful secret. They hid you away because your existence would have destroyed their empire. Isabella felt the room spin. She remembered faint flashes from her childhood, a mother's soft lullaby, a golden crest on a wall, a night of screaming before everything went black. It all made horrifying sense. Tears blurred her vision as she looked at Alexander. So I was thrown away by my own blood? They abandoned me like trash? Alexander's hands gripped hers tightly. Isabella, none of that changes who you are. It doesn't matter whose blood runs in your veins. What matters is the woman you are now. But Cassandra's venom wasn't finished. She leaned closer, whispering cruelly, do you really think a man like Alexander will risk his empire for someone like you? A girl with dirty blood, scandal in her name? He'll wake up one day and realize he deserves better. Alexander slammed his fist on the table, his eyes blazing with fury. Enough. Don't you dare speak about her like that. I don't care what family abandoned her. She is mine. And I will protect her until my last breath. Cassandra smirked, but her eyes flickered with unease. For the first time, she saw that Alexander's feelings weren't a passing whim, they were unshakable. Later that night, as they drove home, Isabella sat silently, her tears falling. Alexander glanced at her, his voice soft but firm. Isabella, listen to me. You are not defined by what they did to you. You are not defined by abandonment. You are defined by the strength it took to survive, by the kindness in your heart, by the love you give so freely. That's who you are. That's who I fell in love with. Isabella broke down in his arms, whispering, but what if the world finds out? Alexander kissed her forehead gently. Then let them. Let the whole world know. Because no matter what, I'm not letting you go. Days after Cassandra's cruel revelation, Isabella found herself in a storm of emotions. She tried to bury the truth, tried to forget it, but reality had other plans. A sleek black car pulled up to Alexander's mansion one morning. Out stepped an elegantly dressed older man and woman, their faces stern but polished, the kind of people who carried power in every step. The butler rushed to announce them. Sir, it's the Raynids. They say they've come for Isabella. Isabella's blood froze. When they entered the grand hall, Isabella could barely breathe. She knew those faces. Not clearly, but in the fragments of her childhood memory, faces that had once looked down at her like a stain. Isabella, the woman spoke first, her tone dripping with false sweetness. Or should I say, our daughter. Isabella's heart trembled at the word. Daughter. A word she had longed to hear for years, yet now, it sounded like poison. The man stepped forward, his voice low and commanding. You've been gone long enough. It's time to return to the family where you belong. Alexander immediately moved in front of Isabella, shielding her. His voice was like steel. You abandoned her. You lost the right to call her family the moment you left her in the dark. The woman's smile never wavered. You misunderstand. We didn't abandon her out of hate. Circumstances forced our hand. But now, she is grown. Now she is valuable. Isabella's stomach twisted. Valuable. Not loved. Not wanted. Just valuable. Tears welled in her eyes as she finally found her voice. Why? Why now? Why after all these years? When I was cold, starving, begging on the streets, where were you then? The man didn't flinch. You were a risk to us. But times have changed. With your return, the Reynard name will be whole again. You can't possibly think this man, this CEO, can give you what we can. Isabella shook her head, pain cutting through her chest. You're not here because you care. You're here because I'm useful to you. Alexander's grip tightened around her hand. She's not going anywhere. The Reynards exchanged a cold glance. This isn't over. She will return to us. If not willingly, then by force. With that, they turned and left, their footsteps echoing like thunder. That night, Isabella sat by the window, her heart heavy. Alexander found her there, staring at the city lights. They'll never stop, will they? She whispered. Alexander's arms wrapped around her from behind, his voice low but fierce. Let them come. I'll fight the entire world if I have to. You're not theirs to claim. You're mine, Isabella. Mine. Her tears spilled, but this time, they carried a spark of hope. For the first time in her life, someone was choosing her, truly choosing her. But deep down, a fear remained. The Reynards weren't just powerful. They were dangerous. And she knew they wouldn't rest until they had her back. The Reynards didn't wait long before striking. Within days, rumors began flooding the media. Headlines screamed. Mysterious beggar girl linked to Reynard's scandal. Alexander Hale's love interest, a hidden shame? Alexander's business rivals pounced on the chaos, pulling out of contracts, questioning his judgment. The empire he had built with discipline and precision was suddenly under fire. Inside the mansion, Isabella wept. This is my fault. Because of me, everything you built is crumbling. Alexander knelt before her, lifting her chin so she would see the fire in his eyes. No, Isabella. This isn't your fault. This is their war against me, and I'll fight it. One evening, the Reynards appeared on television. Isabella's so-called parents sat in front of reporters, their voices smooth and rehearsed. She is our daughter, her mother said tearfully. We only want her back. We fear she's being manipulated by Mr. Hale for his own gain. The words cut deeper than any knife. They weren't just trying to reclaim her, they were painting Alexander as the villain. Isabella turned off the TV, her body shaking. They'll never stop until they destroy you, Alexander. Maybe I should just go with them. Alexander pulled her into his arms, his voice breaking with raw emotion. Don't you dare. Don't you ever think leaving me is the answer. I'd rather lose my empire 1,000 times than lose you once. But the Reynards weren't finished. They sent an envoy, a young man named Damien, Isabella's so-called cousin. He pretended to care for her, pretended to be her ally. Isabella, Damien said softly, I know they hurt you. But give us a chance to make things right. You belong with us. You belong in your true family. For a moment, Isabella faltered. The longing for family was still inside her. The dream of being wanted, of being someone's daughter, tugged at her heart. But Alexander sensed the trap. He's lying. They don't want you, Isabella, they want control. Don't believe him. Days later, Isabella discovered the truth herself. She overheard Damien on the phone, his voice low and venomous. Yes, once she signs the papers, the shares will be under Reynard control. Then Hale will have nothing. Her blood ran cold. Betrayal wasn't new to her, but this time, it hurt differently. Because for just a moment, she had wanted to believe. When Damien saw her, he smirked. Don't look so shocked. Did you really think we wanted you? You're nothing but a key to power. Isabella's voice broke as she whispered, "No. I'm more than that. I'm not your pawn." She ran into Alexander's arms, and together, they planned to expose the Raynads once and for all. The showdown came in the form of a press conference. The Raynads stood proudly, ready to present Isabella as their long-lost daughter. Cameras flashed, reporters buzzed. But before they could begin, Alexander strode in, holding Isabella's hand tightly. He faced the cameras, his voice strong. The Raynads abandoned her. They left her to starve, to suffer, to beg. And now they dare claim her out of greed, not love. Gasps filled the room as Alexander revealed the documents Damien had carelessly left behind, the proof of their scheme to use Isabella for control. The Raynads turned pale. Their carefully built facade shattered in front of the world. Then, Isabella stepped forward. For the first time, her voice rang with power. "I may be your blood, but I am not your family. Family is not who abandons you, it's who stands beside you when the world falls apart. And Alexander, he is my family." The crowd erupted, reporters shouting questions, cameras flashing wildly. But in that moment, Isabella felt free. Free from the past, free from the chains of abandonment. Alexander turned to her, eyes softening as he whispered, "I told you, Isabella. I'd lose the world for you. But today, we didn't lose. We won, together." And there, in front of the world, he kissed her. It wasn't just love, it was victory, defiance, and destiny. The story of Alexander and Isabella wasn't about power, wealth, or bloodlines. It was about a love that defied every obstacle, a love that rejected the lies of the world and clung to the truth of the heart. She was once a poor abandoned girl, invisible and unwanted. He was a CEO who rejected 999 women, untouched by beauty or status. And yet, when they found each other, they discovered what neither money nor power could buy, true love. Rose, sometimes, the one the world throws away is the one most worthy of being cherished. Thank you for watching this emotional love story on The Love Chapter by Aree. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more heart-touching stories. Tell us in the comments which country or place you are watching from. We'd love to know where our family of viewers is growing around the world.